Hi, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Hot Tea and High Seas with Chelsea Opera. I'm Garrett Heater, producing artistic director, and today I am joined by Alexandra LoBianco. Lexi, how are you doing today? Nice to see you. Thank you for joining us.
I am so good to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. So we want to get the most important question out of the way right off the bat. What kind of tea are you drinking?
Well, I am actually not drinking tea. I'm hiding something else.
Oh, so this is the speakeasy
No,
edition of, of our
actually
episode.
it's just apple cider, quite honestly.
Okay. Well, I just have a Mandarin orange spice and I'm loving it. And I'm so glad to be sitting here talking with you tonight. I can't wait to get started. So
So
cheers to
delicious.
you.
Salud, salud.
Hello. That is good. That is orangey and spicy. All right.
Good
So
tea makes
Lexi,
everything better.
yeah. Yeah, I want what you have. That's what I want. So Lexi, where are you right now and what are you doing there?
I about almost 6 years ago now, I moved to Chicago from New York, and I now have a house in Park Ridge. I'm like, wait a minute, I'm a singer who with a house. This is weird. But my partner and I bought a house in Park Ridge, and we live out in the suburbs now. So, yeah, here I
Great.
am.
So are you out on the are you out on your porch telling kids to get off your lawn?
No, that's his job.
Oh, perfect. Well, congratulations on the new home ownership. That is
Thank you.
awesome. That's
Thank
awesome.
you. It's really exciting to be a working singer who has financially gotten to a point where we can actually, both of us are actually working singers. So to be able to do this and have a home is amazing. So
Yeah, yeah. And you are certainly no stranger to Lyric Opera of Chicago.
no, I am
And
not. They've been very good to me.
I actually was able to um, see a video of you. Were you on horseback?
I was.
Yeah, so it was kind of hard to pick you out from all of them because everybody's costumes were the same. But
Yep.
they had you up on a mechanism and you were
Yeah.
on a flying horse for the Valkyrie. And that's
Valkyrie.
just
Yeah.
that's amazing.
It was
What
so
was it
much
like to
fun.
be airborne for that show?
I'm weird in that for me it was really kind of old hat in some ways, not being 30 feet up in the air, but I grew up as a competitive horseback rider. So being in saddle on a horse was like, yes. And then to be flying in the air was just the coolest aspect of it ever.
And you had a whip
Oh, yeah.
and you had like a it was well, of course they pick up the bodies of the dead soldiers. So you
Oh,
had
the
like a
body bag.
bloody body bag
Yeah,
strapped
you
to the
know.
horse. I mean,
Yeah.
it was pretty intense, but I was really impressed with your flying horsemanship skills. So I
It's
wanted to start off
fun.
by congratulating you.
Well,
You
thank
did
you.
such a great job with that. It was so great to watch. So I recommend that everybody look up. It's the Ride of the Valkyrie,
Mhm.
Lyric Opera of Chicago's production, and it's all legit. It's on YouTube. It's not a bootleg, so it's a very
Nope.
short clip, and I was sold. It was fantastic. But we
It's
are
a
here
blast.
to talk about your time with Chelsea Opera, and I have to say that when I told Lee and Lynn, the co-founders, of course, that I was going to be interviewing you, they were really excited. They just love you to
Oh,
pieces, so I wanted to pass that on how highly they think of you.
I
And
adore them both. Absolutely adore them both so much.
I'm not surprised to hear that. I think that's the general consensus, everybody that
Right?
I've talked to, certainly. So why don't we talk about your time with
Sure.
Chelsea Opera?
That was a really, really, really special time in my life and in my career. Uh, the summer before I met them was my mentor called me that summer and said, "It's time, Lexi, get your to New York or you get out of the studio."
Okay.
And so I got my rear to New York, and I moved to New York October 31st of 2008. And Chelsea Opera was probably it was the first thing I auditioned for in New York for any company in New York at all.
Wow.
And I walked into the church on 68th St. Stephen's, and I went in and I sang, and they were auditioning for the mother and Amahl and the Night Visitors. And
Right. Yeah.
so I went and sang all that gold because it happened to be one of my audition arias already at that point in time.
Yeah.
And they not on the spot, but they were extremely, extremely kind and generous. And very, very shortly after that, they offered me Amahl and the Night Visitors, the mother. And I had, there's so many different facets to this one little story. It's so weird.
Oh.
But because the reason I say that is because my mentor's mentor was Maestro Herbert Grossman, who happened to be one of Toscanini's assistants. And in that relationship, he also had a huge influence over and with and relationship with Menotti himself. And so
Wow, how exciting.
when I got to coach it with him and talk through what Menotti actually wanted in Amahl and the Night
Yeah.
Visitors.
Wow.
And so to be able to get on that stage, and we did a modern production. We did like the a mom. We didn't do traditional. It was great. It was in I forget which church it was, but it was a beautiful church, and I got to meet the wonderful Benji Wenzelberger, and who's still a friend.
Yeah.
And I've sung his compositions since
Right.
then. And
Yeah.
you know, and I've stayed in contact with so many people. Matt Anshel, Kenny, I think it was Kenny Overton, who was in it with me as well, and just some beautiful, beautiful humans I've met. One of my best friends was our stage manager. I mean, it was a pivotal moment because it was like I had no idea if I could actually do something and sing in New York and be a legit singer. And here I was, first job, first audition, and Lynn and Lee hired me. And I was like, are you kidding me? I'm in New York. I'm in the big pond now. And I got hired. This is amazing.
And it's really interesting that you use the word pivotal because it seems like with the artists that I've talked to who were just like you at the very beginning of their career,
Yeah.
and that word pivotal pretty much sums it up. I mean, they would use that as it was a turning point very early on in their career
Yep.
and set them on a very successful trajectory. Do you
Yeah.
have any anecdotes from your time in Amahl?
Oh my gosh. I honestly, it was Diana Silveriero came to see it. And I will never forget leaving and Diana like coming up to me and just grabbing me by the face and just hugging me for hours. I felt like an hour. Just, oh, so good. So good.
Right.
And then
Amazing. Oh gosh, I
and
can hear my
we have a
dog.
visitor. Hooray! I love a
It's just my
visitor.
pup. It's just my pup.
It's okay. There's a munchkin running. You'll see the little blonde running around back
Yeah,
behind me.
I don't think you're gonna see mine running around. He's too small. He's shorter than yours, and on four legs. So,
Sometimes she is too. It's fine.
But great. So
No,
you have that lovely. Oh yeah. So now
there was that, and then there was also the fact that in rehearsals it turned into this beautiful, just a beautiful group of people spending time doing the work. That's the best way I can say it. It really was a cohesive group of people just doing it. It's been a while. I mean, it's been over a decade. It's been over, yeah, yeah.
right.
It's been well over a decade since
Yeah.
and so it feels like a long memory. It feels like a very long time ago, and yet at the same time, there are parts of it that are just so fresh in my mind. And I remember the purple dress I wore. I remember the sweater that Lynn and Lee found for me. I remember, the reading of the newspaper and clipping coupons and trying to figure out what to do during that whole opening sequence. I remember it specifically. And I've got pictures of it actually, just sitting right over here.
Yeah, and I was looking at some pictures of that production today, and it seems very accessible for audiences as far as not necessarily, loving the music, but maybe not wanting a completely traditional retelling of the story. And you got to be a part of something new and different. That's fantastic.
Yeah,
and
really
Amahl
special.
is such a beautiful story to begin with. I've had the pleasure of directing it once before, and I was in it a handful of times as well as the page.
Nice.
He gets
Hey.
he gets to throw the mom around a little bit, right? For
You
stealing.
know. Yeah, just a little bit.
Oh yeah, I gets the the mom. But yeah, I mean, people just adore that opera, and especially performing it around the holidays. It has such wonderful memories for many people. It sounds like yourself included.
Yeah. Amahl is really special for me for so many reasons. I went to a small private school for middle school and high school, and it was one of those schools that just did a lot. And one of the things we did was Amahl and the Night Visitors, and I was supposed to play in the pit for it, and I played second clarinet for it. And so I have all these different memories revolving around them all in the Night Visitors, and when you can have a small cast like that, be able to tell such a big story,
Yeah.
it's so special.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. Absolutely. And now that wasn't the only thing that you did with Chelsea Opera.
I did a concert. Yes, I did a concert
Right.
with Mark Rucker, and I sang. Yes, and I sang. Oh my gosh, Andrea Chenier, La Mamma Morta, because it was a Verismo
Oh,
concert.
nice. That's one of my favorite
Yes,
operas. I love that opera so much. I bet you did a fantastic job.
my God, I am dying. First, I'm dying to sing the whole role, but yes,
Yeah.
I. But second, that was so weird because for so many again so many things colliding at the same time. My first technical job was singing in oh, I'm not in the theater so I can say it, Macbeth, um, with Opera Carolina, and I was in the chorus at the time and just starting the transition into like doing other things, and it was the first compromario role I sang, and I wasn't even a soprano yet. It was 2004, and Mark Rucker was the Macbeth, and it
Oh,
was
nice.
in that production, and to come back and see him sing Nemica del Patria, which I remember was, I think that's what he sang. Why am I blanking? But he, and just reveling in Mark being Mark, and
Right.
Sadie, of course, and getting the opportunity. I remember coaching it with Audrey Saint-Gilles for that production, for that show, and seeing where everyone has just come and gone to, and just these huge trajectories of people that have come in and out of Chelsea. It's amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And I hear that more than anything else, honestly. Macbeth, another one of my, and I'm not in a theater
Mm.
either, so I can say that too. It's another one of my favorite operas, but you bring up Andrea Chenier, and I don't think enough companies do that show, and it's so good.
It's
It's
so
so very,
good.
very good. I
It's
don't know
so
why it's
good.
not more popular, to be totally honest.
It's not that it's not popular, it's really hard to cast.
Oh, yeah, that does make
I
sense.
I I think it's less that it's about the popularity as much as it is the size and the instruments you need to find in order to sing, especially the Chenier and the Maddalena.
Yeah,
Though it's they're beasts. I mean, if you this have the stamina to go through and to also finish out that final duet and just but sing verismo the whole entire way through.
right.
It's not like it's so different than singing even Wagner. Wagner is long, but you sing in a bel canto style. When you sing bel canto, of course, you're singing lots of fast notes generally, but it is a different type of singing. It's a different quality of consistency of sound, even Verdi. But when you get into that verismo, there's so much grit and so much dirtiness sometimes it gets a little, put a little stink on it, as it put a little stank on it. Sorry.
No, it's just so funny because with the time period that takes place around the French Revolution, you just think of, I think, the very, very dainty scenes with these people, so you don't think putting a stink on it is going to be the first thing that comes out
But
of your mouth. But it's totally
I know.
appropriate with the way that the
but
way you're
but what
describing it is great.
but when you're dealing with text, you gotta bite into it and chew it,
I
and
agree
just
with you.
it gets it's the reason I love like Amahl, because Amahl you can do the same thing. It's not always a oh God, oh, it's, you gotta dig in.
So you're putting it out there that you would like to play Maddalena. You're
uh,
putting it out there.
Always, every year I say I'd like to sing that.
So any companies that are listening that think they can put the cast together and the orchestra and
Oh,
those sets.
yeah, the orchestra and the sets and the costuming. I mean, it's a beast of a show to put on. Let's be honest.
It is. It is.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't argue with that. So you have been keeping busy during this
Touch.
Well, as busy as one can get, I suppose, during these terrible, terrible times that we're in. You want to
Yes.
tell us a little bit about what you have been up to?
Oh man. I've had the distinct honor of continuing to sing throughout all of this. Between some recital work and uh, being able to go to Michigan Opera Theater and work on Twilight Gods for them, covering Christine Goerke for Brunhilde, and then but prior to that, going to Seattle and singing Cavalleria Rusticana with Seattle Opera, and then working here locally with Chicago Opera Theater in multiple ways, if singing wise. I've been workshopping their newest opera, The Puppy Episode, which I'm really excited about. And it's about Ellen, and that episode is the inspiration for the whole opera, and it's really cool to see these stories of humans and how they responded to fictional humans and how they may have responded to that moment in time, and how that affected their trajectory, and then in a pivotal way, back to pivot. And then on top of that, my partner and I started a company, Valhalla Media, and
Nice.
we have been working with different companies to actually provide a secure platform to monetize the content of other companies, as well as produce our own recital series. And I think we were probably the first to put on a full opera this summer, quite honestly.
Wow.
In July, we started the company with the incredible Will Liverman in recital, and the world premiere of Two Black Churches. And it was a really inspirational moment. But we're also working with COT and other companies to record and do and produce. And all of a sudden, I'm in a production company going, what am I doing here?
Oh. You're just putting more hats on. Just keep stacking them up. That's what you have to do when you're an artist. You have to be good.
I do love a hat. Let's be honest. Anybody who knows me knows I'm always in a hat.
And with all the things that you're doing, and now they're talking about, the vaccine's just around the corner, and that things will be getting better, hopefully around the spring. Do you have things that you're excited about that are lined up for the coming months?
I am lining things up, and I'm very lucky in that many of my I'm still booked into 22 right now, which is very nice. Potentially further.
Well done, Lexi. Well done.
Actually, technically 23 right now, so I'm okay with that. But I just received another offer for something in the spring, which I'm excited to go back and do. And we are, yes, I have things coming up, and it's incredibly humbling. I have a Wagner Society concert recital that I'm preparing and putting together for the Wagner Society of and the Triangle of Wagner Society, that's what it's called, in Raleigh, North Carolina. And I have some other things that haven't been canceled yet that are still like, are we going to do this? Are we not going to do this?
Yeah, but that's going to be the next big thing. I think a lot of people are going to be just hedging things down the calendar and trying to salvage them later in the new year. So that's going to be, I just feel so bad for these companies that have to move so many working parts all at the same time just to make ends meet,
It is a time of extraordinary creativity, as well as a time of just trying to figure it out. Everyone is fighting to find a foothold someplace. Yeah. It's like climbing any mountain. I am terrified of heights, and I'm not great at this idea. But I remember horseback riding up mountains and even letting the horse find their footing. You'd feel the slip of the hoof until they found the right spot to lock in. And I can only imagine that as we're all trying to find that security, there's going to be some slips and some scrapes and some falls along the way. And that's okay, because without pain, having a step munchkin, thinking about growing pains and how all that changes, and how that changes the human being, why wouldn't it change our industry?
Yeah.
And we're going through growing pains, and we're going through this renaissance in many ways of a digital renaissance and rebirth. And I don't necessarily think that what's happening with our digital world will never, I will say this, it will never take the place of what happens in the theater.
I
However,
agree
it's
with
going to
you.
augment.
Yeah.
It's going to augment. And I think it's not going to go away. It's really going to be something special that will turn into its own thing that I think will be on-site operas, and we'll find more episodic operas like Netflix that people can like tune into if they're not comfortable to come back to the theaters. Some people may never feel comfortable to come back to the theaters, and that's of course fine. But if we can provide a place for them to still be filled by what we give and what we're specialized to provide a platform for, I think it is so important to make that available. I was talking to some of my students the other day, and I said, my job is not to make my audience feel what I'm feeling. My job is to provide a bridge for them to go on the journey of their own emotion into the story. If they join me and happen to join me in this place that I'm in, amazing. But if they don't, that's wonderful. And that's what we have to get to is finding that bridge between reality and virtual reality. And while we're not in the theater, it's not the same. You're right. It's not going to be the same. But can we provide an opportunity to join us in the story? Absolutely.
It's really interesting that you bring up how technology is not going to go away. I think you're absolutely right that it's going to be a tool that augments. I think financially, with these companies that are teetering on the brink, that streaming your upcoming live productions, because they can stream to a global audience. So now
Yes.
the theater experience of perhaps an entire season for a company that can afford the infrastructure of creating a streaming service for their product, they're going to be able to bring back some of that lost revenue in future seasons through the streaming if they choose that route, because now there's a global audience that people are tapping into that perhaps was not the thing to do before because it wasn't really necessary,
Yep.
So now we've kind of opened. I hope that's a saving grace for some of these companies that are having a hard time.
When you have the Met, who has the incredible infrastructure that they have to create something like the Met Player, which is incredible, that is specific to the Met, and they have so much content. But when you're trying to build just even a small amount of content to have a place, I don't want to make this an infomercial about my company, but that's exactly why we started Valhalla Media Live, was that companies could come and literally say, we're going to record this. We need to have a place to monetize it. Where can we go? We don't have the infrastructure to build that space. We built it. Come sell your tickets on our platform. That's
super smart, Lexi. Super smart. Yeah. And finding that niche, that missing component that people don't, like you're saying, they don't have the infrastructure to do that on their own.
Right.
Of course they can go to you.
Right. Yeah.
Like you're saying, build that bridge, to get your content out.
It's about community. Everyone's missing community, and what we really need to do, and what I loved about what Texas is doing right now with the Texas Opera Alliance, is they're crossing the borders between their little area of opera land, and it's coming together to make a larger global network of opera goers. That is key to our patron engagement. It's key to building new audiences. The more we can envelop and bring in people, the more we can stay relevant and stay consistent without turning to things like TikTok and selling out is not what I meant. But going into some place where in popular culture might do one thing where we want to change, but at the same time, why not bring in popular culture into what we're doing? That's important.
It is important, but I also I knew exactly when you said not selling out or what you were saying,
right,
or stepping down into something like that. But I think especially with something like opera, I feel that it's okay to say, come experience the real thing, right?
Right.
Because you're not going to get it on TikTok. You're not going to get it
No.
on social media platforms. You need to feel, another person in an interview said,
Yes.
you need to feel the vibrations of the orchestra and the singer
Yes.
through your body. That's
Mm-hmm.
super important
Yeah.
for the people that can't attend and can't attend. But you're not going to get, you're not even going to get a shadow of that
No.
on, sound bites and small
No.
little clips like that. So, you know, right. So just come and experience it.
Absolutely.
Just please come and experience it. You're not going
Because
to regret it.
science has taught us that sound waves can literally change the molecular structure of what is in front of it. And that's the human voice sound wave. It is so important to literally come and be hit by the wave of sound that is being produced and carried out by our orchestras and being sustained and enveloping the audience. It's why opera is so transformative. It's the
Yeah.
thing that makes it so, it's the thing that gives you goosebumps. It's the thing that makes you cry without understanding why, because it has touched a part of you in a most literal fashion that you may not have known needed to be touched.
Yeah, I mean, I was lucky enough to be able to go to a dozen Met performances just last year in New York before it shut down. So I've been touched all over.
Right?
I've been transformed. I don't know what I turned into, but you know what? I really enjoyed the experience. You know what, Lexi? I have to say, this has been fantastic, and our time together has come to an end. That went by really, really fast. You are so easy to talk to. This has been a real pleasure. It's been a real joy.
Thank you.
So the way that we end our interviews, we like to end on a high note. So would you like to do the honors of ending this interview on a high note?
I think in honor of what we've just spoken about, I go,
Perfect, yes. Right back to Amahl. Nice job. All right, everybody, thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of Hot Tea and High Seas with Chelsea Opera. I'm Garrett Heater, producing artistic director, and we have been so fortunate to chat with Alexandra LoBianco today. Thank you so much, Lexi. This has been a real pleasure. All right.
It's always my pleasure. Thank you so much.
Bye,
Bye.
everybody.
Cheers.